What I'm going to do in this video is show you the funnest stuff to do in Aleph Null. First you got to get there. First you go to vispo.com. That's where we are right now. That's my site of net art that I've been publishing since 1996. And on it there are various links that relate to Aleph Null. But this is the one you want right here. So we click that. And that takes us to the home page of the documentation for Aleph Null. As we scroll through this, you can see that there's all sorts of videos that show some of the types of art that you can produce with Aleph Null. There's quite a bit of stylistic range here. Aleph Null was designed to make all sorts of different types of art, make all sorts of different styles of art, make all sorts of looks in art, and it does. But the way to get to the app itself, which you can view in pretty much any browser, is to take the first link here, Aleph Null 3.0. That's where we're going. If the controls at top left aren't visible, click the olive symbol, which toggles the visibility of the controls. Now, by default, it has started up a random brush. I can see that it's Ted Warnell's art that is being used here because there's a highlight around this particular nib icon, and when I mouse over this nib icon you can see that at the bottom of the controls it says Ted Warnell. The image files for Aleph Null are captured from HTML5 works at my website Mona Lisa Lives Here, which site presents an ongoing and evolving exploration of autoactive and alinear dynamic process. So Ted is a net artist I've been in touch with since about 1998 or 1997, something like that. We've been talking about net art and collaborating on stuff together for a long time. So what's going on here is Aleph Null is sampling from Ted Warnell's work, then painting parts of his work. That's what Aleph Null does. It samples bitmaps, graphics, and it uses those as paint. Anyway, real fun thing to do in Aleph Null is just to click these nib icons. When I click this one, what happens? We get a totally different look. And what's going on right now, as you can see from what it says at the bottom of the controls, it says Bissett Dirty Concrete. The concrete poetry of Bill Bissett. Thanks to Bill and to the Contemporary Literature Collection, Special Collections and Rare Books, Bennett Library, SFU Vancouver, for letting me photograph and use Bill's work. What's happening right now is that Aleph Null is downloading more than 450 megabytes of the legendary poet Bill Bissett's concrete poetry and sampling from that. So it changes as it downloads more. Alright, well that's Bill's nib. Now when I click this one, this is Adina Karasik's. So what do we have here? Again, totally different look. And this is a poem that Adina wrote called Checking In. It's the title of her most recent book from Talon Books in Vancouver. And she chose the images also that are filling the text and that are in the background. And these relate to this text of hers called Checking In, which is very witty, funny, contemporary, net-oriented. Love it. And I collaborate with Adina on all sorts of projects as well. We have another Aleph Null collaboration coming up with another of her poems, where I'm hopefully going to be using the video nib, the new video nib. So rather than sampling bitmaps, folders of bitmaps, the video nib samples a folder of videos. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, just click this one. This is the work of Chris Joseph. Great net artist, Canadian, British, Barbadian net artist, lives in England, in London, and I've been in touch with him since the late 90s as well. So you can see that he's been doing interesting things with pictures of Kim Jong-un. We've seen Ted's nib. Now this next one is the visual poetry of Jim Leftwich. Jim's an amazing visual poet from Virginia, and Aleph Null is using about 100 of his images, about 100 of his visual poems. So, it changes as it downloads more of the images. What's the next one? This is the work of Dan Weber. Dan Weber is another amazing net artist that I've been in touch with since the late 90s. And he's a terrific poet and writer. These are etchings that he did of war monuments in the USA. And each etching is from a particular war memorial. Aleph Null is sampling from them, so sometimes you can read all of a particular etching, sometimes you can't. But another thing that you can do is, in particular with this one, I tend to say, okay, I'd really like to see the texts. I'd really like to see Dan's underlying images. Does Aleph Null let me see those? And the answer is yes, it does. And how does it let you see those? Well, with the controls over here, you can see that there's an About button. So I click the About button. And up comes this neat window that you can move around. But, it's got all of the artists listed. Okay, well, when I click Dan Weber, sure enough, I get some information on Dan Weber. And here's a slideshow of the images in Mark the Way. So I click that, and it gives me this view of the thumbnails. And when I click this, yes, indeed, we have a slideshow of the underlying images by Dan in Aleph Null. So we can view the images chewed on by Aleph Null, or we can view the images on their own. And that's the way it is for the work of each artist in Aleph Null. And you access it the same way through the About button, clicking the artist's name through that window that we looked at. Let me go up. This takes me back to the thumbnails. This icon over here, when I click that takes me back to Aleph Null itself. And it'll start it up playing, well, in this case, it's a random brush that happens to be Ted's work again. But, so, there's all sorts of nibs to look at. There's work by all sorts of different artists here. Here's another one by Bill. This looks a little different. This is using Bill's concrete, but also his paintings. Clicking this one, this is work by Regina Celia Pinto from Brazil. And this is work by Stasha Veluti from Vancouver. And this is a poem by Catherine Merrill Bennett from, I believe, Cincinnati. And there's work by Andrew Topol, and there's work by Maria Damon, and there's work by Brent Bechtel. There's a whole lot of work here. And then you get to things like this, which doesn't process bitmaps. This is what I call an instrument of color music, and so it's simply drawing complex gradients. Same with these other ones that have these sorts of graphics on them. So these have a pretty cool look as well. Only different, quite different from the ones that are drawing bitmaps. And this one draws text. Okay, so you play with these and you see which ones you like, and you might say, wow, I really wish I could import my images into, say, this brush. What is this brush doing? It's taking circles and it's filling them with images. Well, you can. If you click the nib icon again, then up comes this nib options window. And you see here it says choose files. If I click this, I can choose a folder of files. Okay, so there's a folder of images. So I click upload. Now, it's funny, it says upload. I don't actually upload your images. I don't upload your images at all, ever, in Aleph Null. Yet it says that it's going to upload them. It doesn't. So these are images that I created with another tool that I wrote called DB Cinema. Yeah, so that's a fun thing to do, is to bring this up and choose a folder of images for it to use. All right, what's another thing to do? Well, so far we have just been using one brush. You can create multiple brushes in Aleph Null, and it's very simple to do. Up here is the Create button. When you click Create, that creates a new brush. So let's click Create. What has happened? We've got two brushes going on now, and it's a Jim Leftwich brush. You can see that over here it's highlighted. The Jim Leftwich nib is highlighted. And this is a menu that lets you select which brush is currently the editable brush. The Jim Leftwich brush is currently the editable brush. Well, now the Bissett Dirty Concrete brush is the editable brush. And you know, the Bissett Dirty Concrete brush has pretty much disappeared, hasn't it? Why is that? Thing is that the Bissett Dirty Concrete brush, as it says right here, is on layer 2, which is below layer 1, which is where the Jim Leftwich brush is. And it says right here, yep, the Jim Leftwich brush is on layer 1. Okay, so let's put them both on the same layer. Let's put the Bissett Dirty Concrete from layer 2. Let's put it on layer 1 as well. How do we do that? Well, these two buttons control which level a brush is on. So let's move it up. Yeah, sure enough, now we can see it. Now it's on the same level. Okay, we can destroy brushes as well. We use the Create button to create them. We can use the Destroy button. So I'm going to destroy the Jim Leftwich brush. You can use the Destroy button to destroy them. So that's how you create brushes. And I clicked Create. Now I've got Bissett paintings going on here. Well, but on layer 2, so I can't see it. So I'll bring them up. Yeah, now we can see them. These are Bill Bissett paintings now being mixed with the other brush because they're on the same layer. Layers in Aleph Null are basically for creating backgrounds and foregrounds. Put something in layer 2 to put it in the background. Put something in layer 1 to put it in the foreground. But you can have as many layers as you like, actually. Now also, when you create a brush, let me create another one. We can see that this just created this one with Dan Weber's work in it right here. But the nib of the currently editable brush is the Dan Weber nib, because it's right here. This indicates which is the currently editable brush. It's Dan Weber. So I want to change the nib of the currently editable brush from Dan Weber to this nib. So I just scroll to that nib icon and click it. So this one is now the nib of the editable brush. Okay, well, finally text. Let's see if we can import our own text into one of these. All right, well, let me see. Well, there's a text brush. There's a couple of them. This is the one that I want. Bad icon. It's kind of hard to see the text T in this one. But when I click this, now the editable brush has this nib. So we see this big text here. I want to edit this text. I want this text to be mine. So when I click again on that particular nib icon, here is the text box. So I put my cursor in there. I go Control A to select it all. And now I'm going to go My Text. My Text. And it won't actually use it until I click Apply Text to Brush. There we go. My text, my text, my text. And you can choose the font as well. And if the font that you want isn't in there, then you can type it in and then click Add System Font specified above if it's on your system. Font has to be on your system to be used. And now how about the images that are filling this text? Well, we can change them just like we did before using this button. Up comes a window where we can choose a folder of images. So I'm going to choose a folder of images right here. And again, it says upload. You know, I don't upload your images. And so now it's using that folder of images to fill the text. Anyway, that gives you a brief introduction to how to do fun stuff in Aleph Null. I contend it is fun. I've been producing these tutorial videos, you know, how to do this and how to do that in Aleph Null, and people go, oh, you know, it's an art app. If you need a manual for an art app, you are really up the creek because nobody wants to learn how to use an art app. They just want it to be fun. And actually, I have tried to make it easy and fun to use, and hopefully that comes across in this video. So there's lots more to see about Aleph Null, like what are these sliders doing? But yeah, fart around with them. You change them. See what happens when you change those sliders. You can't break it, so go ahead and fart around with it. All right. Thanks for checking it out.